Hello naps, welcome back to my channel. Let me just pop, nope, maybe this. We're getting closer. Yeah, here we go. All right. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jocelyn and I'm happy to have you here. Today we're going to be doing this lovely look by Girl Grey Beauty. We're going to be talking about relationships. Now, first things first, let me get some foundation on. I'm going to be using my Mary Kay face primer. Get that rubbed in all over my face. And oh, let's not forget, I've got all of my articles and products linked in the description. Go ahead and check those out if you are interested. Let's use our Pretty Fresh Color Pop in Lite 5N. This is a tinted moisturizer, so it's very light coverage. And put that on with a beauty blender. Next thing is we're going to be going in with a Boing Cakeless concealer in shade number 2. And while I put this, I was going to block my brows out. Anyway, naked face, let's start with a glue stick again, because that's where I meant to start this entire what is going on with this frickin', there we go. Now we got it. Anyway. Let's get our glue stick on our eyebrows and go ahead and get those hairs up. Hairs up make for a flatter canvas, and I don't want my eyebrows playing too much of a role in what I end up doing with this makeup, so I'm just getting them out of the way. Okay, this is layer 1. We got a dry in between. So for those of you who might not know, there are many different types of relationship words, like all over the place. Today we're going to be talking specifically about dependent, independent, codependent, and interdependent. Oh yes. Oh, these eyebrows though. Number 2, layer number 2 on there. So these different types of relationships are based off of how you interact with the other person and how you get support from them, you know? Oh, this hair is just, it's really not being in the spot I want it to be in today. But it's okay, because I got layer 3 of glue on my face. And now we're going to go back to what we did exactly the first time, which is get that primer on, make sure our eyebrows are dry, go ahead and powder that with some under eye setting powder by Boing. Pat it in, make sure it's all nice. It's pretty decent. Oh, nope. Oh, there's a hair. Not worth it. Anyway, continuing on. What do I do next? Yep, this is back to the beginning again. Yep, so got my primer, put on my foundation, put on my concealer, and I am going to be sort of covering up my eyebrows with this concealer. Once I blend it in, it doesn't really blend in super well. But that's okay. We try hard, right? So I don't know if you guys have heard of codependency before in regards to relationships. It's an interesting little beastie. Now that I've got my basics on, I'm going to use that under eye setting powder again to make sure that stuff isn't going anywhere. And we're going to be using our Nars Leguna bronzer. There we go. And I'm time-lapsing this whole thing because I am using a hefty amount of bronzer this time around. Like, geez, what the heck am I doing? Bronzer levels. I guess we're really going for that intense Instagram look today. Next, I'm going to take a nice clean fluffy brush and blend it out. Make sure that it's not going anywhere. Ooh, and then we got my Jouer Rose Gold Duo, and I'm going to be using shade Rose Petal for my blush. Taking it along my curvature of my cheekbones. I'm taking along my cheekbones. And we got Color Pop Bullseye, and this is a like highlighter stick, so that's kind of neat. We're gonna see how well that works today. And just dab a little on my cheekbones, my nose, think about my eyebrows, maybe not, and my lips. There we go. Next, take another clean brush, and we're gonna make sure that it's not just a random shiny line in our face. Perfect. Oh, no, wait, not perfect. Oh, itchy nose. Try not to mess up the makeup. Oh, there we go. Next, I am taking what used to be a foundation brush, and I'm going to use my Paradise makeup from Mayron This is like a face painting palette. Get my brush and some water, and I'm gonna go in for that black. Oof, it's gonna be a fun day. Oh, this shirt isn't working though. Let's, there we go. That's better. Yeah, okay, I think I'm ready now. So I'm gonna apply this. This whole part is gonna be time-lapsed here, so I'm basically just gonna be making trees on the side of my face. I'm gonna be doing more or less one tree on each shoulder, going up the side of my face. The hair is my hair, it's just staying where it is. Going into my hairline, and also gotta cover my ears, which I'm filled with regret for. You might want to take out your earrings. Yep. Anyway, so codependency. I don't know if you've heard of codependency before, but it has become a bit of a buzzword, I think. In some ways, that's a good thing, because codependency is an actual real issue when it comes to some people and how they pursue relationships, but there's a lot of people who might be using the word and not using it correctly. So let's talk about it today. I should also say I am not a professional. I do internet research, and that's kind of my level of professionalism. So I read a whole bunch of articles for this. If my information sounds inaccurate, link some better resources down in the comment section if you so desire. So let's talk about each of these different types of relationships. First off, we're going to start with dependent. I think everybody has heard of a dependent relationship before. It's pretty basic. You are depending on another person to fulfill usually emotional needs. You are highly dependent on one person for pretty much filling all of that. Dependency can be really difficult for people in relationships to deal with. If you have a dependent partner, oftentimes they will come to you for every ounce of help that they need, without maybe trying to put too much thought or effort into helping themselves first. That may not sound like a bad thing. I mean, if you're really skilled in one particular area, you may even respect the fact they trust you enough to bring their problems to you to help solve. But the problem becomes, it doesn't matter what it is, anger, sad, frustration, whatever is going on, they depend on you to fulfill all of that and to help them out of every single situation. And that can become extremely exhausting for the person who is in that relationship with them and usually fulfilling that supportive role. Then we start to get into the opposite, an independent relationship. Now, I grew up thinking an independent relationship was the ideal, that you shouldn't have to rely on anyone, that you should be self-sufficient, and that most people just genuinely didn't need to know or hear your feelings on things, and you could just kind of go through life like that. That is also not good. That is an extreme on the other side of the scale, because then you get in relationships with people who, when they have issues, they either isolate to try and fix it themselves without getting outside input and maybe thinking through everything, or they just ignore it and don't deal with it. Both things are extremely problematic. By the way, you're going to see me going through a series of smaller brushes in this video so that I can get more detail progressively. I'm going to start out with branches, I'm going to get into leaves later, so have fun with it, take your time with it. This whole thing took me maybe like 2 hours to do, so it's definitely a look that needs a little bit of patience. Thinking of which, so you've got your independent, you've got your dependent. Now there's still two other things, and you might be thinking, isn't that the whole thing? Maybe one in the middle. And that's kind of where we get into interdependent. These people who are in interdependent relationships also, should be known, have identities separate from their relationship. So whereas you might think of the independent relationship as being completely on your own, very separate from the other person, and maybe dependent as more of a relationship and less of an individual, interdependent, you are an individual, but you also have roles and responsibilities within your relationship, right? It's supposed to be the ideal, healthy relationship that meets balance and all sorts of other things. Being mostly self-sufficient in their emotional needs, right? So they can fulfill most of that themselves, but they still go to other people for advice, maybe to think through problems, and they're also willing to talk and grow in the relationship with others to become a better human. It's all about value-added relationships and comfortability. Yeah, I think that's the right word. So then what the heck is a codependent relationship? A codependent relationship is all about the extreme side of the dependent plus a little extra fun and zest.
She said sarcastically.
Codependent is when you are dependent on somebody else being dependent on you. That sounds a little backwards, right? It was kind of first looked at in the Alcoholics Anonymous community when they started looking through causes at home of people who were becoming alcoholics. And they found that a lot of people in home life had enablers. So people who took responsibility for the alcoholic's behavior so that the alcoholic didn't really have to come to terms with their behavior. Or they were the person buying the alcohol, or picking up their kid from school so that they didn't maybe realize it was as much of an issue as it was. And that in itself is not codependency, but codependency is really you also feeding into that negative behavior, so making it worse because you're trying to fulfill some of your own needs through another person. Or the couple real big keys for codependency is you need to feel needed. Another person who's probably dependent makes you feel needed. You reinforce their negative behaviors so that you feel needed. And yet you also, on top of that, do not take care of your own needs. So this is really negative for people who are codependent. They start to not become themselves when they're in a relationship. And this isn't just like, oh, it's that couple who's just that couple and they're basically the same person, although it could be. This is like, this person is no one outside of this relationship. This person is catering exclusively to their partner, or what's supposed to be a partnership, and really slowly decaying their own personal well-being in the process. It usually stems from trauma in the past, and trigger warning, I'm going to be listing some things, so just a heads up. It could be like you grew up in a household where you had to parent your parent. Most of the responsibilities fell on you to take over their job as a caretaker. Maybe they were really conditional in how they gave their love, so you only got love if you did these things for them, and then maybe you could get sort of passing approval. So you're still searching for that need that can't be filled from your caregiver in your life. So as you can see, codependent is a really not great place to be in a relationship. If you feel like you or someone you may know might be in a codependent relationship, it might be a good idea for them to talk to a professional to work through some of these things. Let's get this NYX glitter primer, and I'm going to be using like a dotting tool to apply this, and the Hell Bites Beauty multi-chrome, it's like flaky glitter. So you take a little bit of the NYX glitter glue and I'm applying it to my face, and then I'm using the residual glue to then pick up some glitter and pop it right on where I want my leaves. This is going to add a lot of beautiful like foil look to those leaves and really make this makeup pop. Codependent relationships can look somewhat healthy. If a codependent person and a dependent person are in a relationship together, they'll feed off of it. But there's often no growth and sometimes some regressive behaviors in those relationships. And it's really just a negative, stagnant relationship where nobody's pushing the other person to get better. And that is the difference between the dependent, codependent, and the interdependent relationship. Reasons why I think the tree makeup fits with this topic. So trees and plants in general all rely on biodiversity to grow and evolve. So we have some plants that take a lot of nutrients from the soil, and we have some plants that put a lot of nutrients back. It's basic farming, right? Well, in relationships, they should be both taking and giving in different ways so that you're feeding the other plants around you, the other people in your life. So when we have this good, healthy biodiversity, everything thrives. But if we start to get into a monoculture where plants are just sucking up nutrients out of the soil, eventually that soil becomes really hard to grow stuff in without outside influences like fertilizer. So it can be a lot of work to get those nutrients back into that relationship once it starts to get to that depletion level. This is why it's important to pay attention to the relationships you're in. Figure out, are they healthy? Are they not? What can I do to make this relationship better for everyone in it? Anyway, I'm really into nature, so I figured this would work out well. So LA Shockwave liner in Gotcha. That's just going in my bottom water line right there. And then I'm going to be taking my NYX eye pencil in medium brown, and I'm going to be doing that in my top water line, just to kind of make my eyes pop a little bit more. Now let's get out our Clinique High Impact Mascara in black. Go ahead and touch up those eyelashes. Beautiful, beautiful. And some Ben Nye Final Seal, just to give it a nice spritz over top. The Final Seal is going to make sure that paint doesn't go anywhere, since it is water activated paint. So if I put anything over top and didn't put the Final Seal, it would just be a mess. And that also gives me the ability to put a clear gloss on my lips without having to worry about smudging my branches and making them go all over the place. Like, as you can see, those branches are looking just as defined as they were before, which is absolutely lovely and intended. And next, let's take down this hair here. Oh yeah, it's a little, it got a little funky in that. There we go. Oh yes. Oh, I'm very much enjoying this look. Yep. Tell me what you think down in the comments, by the way. Don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button, ding that notification bell to be reminded when I post videos. Hopefully, I will see you here next Thursday. And let me know if there's any topics that you want to talk about. Yeah, drop it down below. Yeah, have a lovely day. Bye.